Hello, everyone. My name is Charles, and welcome to the newest Geeks of the Round Hangout discussion of Season 2, Sleepy Hollow, Episode 5, I think?
Yes, it's 5, Charles.
Okay, I wasn't entirely sure, Isaiah.
That's sad. That is so sad.
Yes. Well, today, for today's Hangout discussion, we are going to be doing something a little different because, well, Todd is unavailable. So it's just going to be me and Isaiah. Although it is possible that Todd might show up later on. We're hoping.
Who gives a fuck?
But anywho, as I have mentioned his name, I think twice now, say hello, Isaiah.
Hello, everyone. I am Charles' black friend. His only black friend.
You say that as if you're the only black friend I have, where I have many. So, okay.
Please. The one you sleep with all the time?
I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but,
See, folks? See?
But anywho, I don't even really remember the name of the episode, but then again, I never really paid attention.
Really? It was so simple. I'm just joking with you. It's called Weeping Lady.
Okay, Weeping Lady. You said Whipping Lady. But,
hey, it's the same difference there, because there's too much whipping.
What?
Don't get me started.
Yeah. It's. I should learn that, shouldn't I? But
yeah.
Anywho, well, since this is just going to be the two of us, this episode of the Geeks of the Round Hangout discussion is going to be significantly shorter than it normally is.
But
so,
that's a good thing, though.
Oh, it is a good thing. I mean, I'm going to try to push for maybe a 20-minute mark. So.
At best. Because there's a lot of good things in this episode. But do you want to start first?
Okay. I'm trying to think where to start from.
I got a good one. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when Ichabod was having that interesting moment with his new friend, I forgot
Caroline.
Yes, who was like a big fan of oh my God, what was that? What was the time of that period? The 1700s or 1800s.
I think 17th century was the 1800s, wasn't it?
Oh, the Foundries. Sorry, the Foundries. Era. Sorry, but yeah, that was a really cool scene because it was really nice because she almost looked like Katrina, and yes, folks, she was super hot.
Yes, she is, and I knew that there wasn't going to be anything that was going to develop between her and Ichabod, but I thought that if she tried, since she tried to put the moves on him and how he reacted, yeah, that was hilarious.
Well, I was like, okay, cool, we can actually do this right now. I'm just saying, like, my wife's somewhere else and she's with another man. Like, we can actually fuck. Let's go ahead and fuck.
Oh, I don't know about that, but and I also think it's funny that she thought that Abby was Ichabod's wife.
Oh, that was funny. It's like, oh wow, fan service.
it's like, oh, it's not what it looked like. Oh, I am so sorry, Mrs. Crane. It's like, I'm sorry, Miss what now? Yeah.
And how Ichabod was trying to explain, like, no, that's my partner. I mean, no, that's my yeah, she's just my friend that I know.
No.
But it was so funny though.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Although there was one thing in this episode that was missing that I did have a bit of a problem. If you guys out there viewing this episode may have remembered that I think it was like maybe 2 Hangout discussions ago where I mentioned that Captain Reyes was starting to grow on me. Well, we haven't seen her for 2 episodes, including last night's.
Well, again, that's fair enough because you don't want to overuse her. Remember when they did about the Heather Torture?
It's just I'm pretty sure that she's going to show up again, but it's just I would have expected her to even have just some small part in this episode.
Well, not really, because this was like a personal. It was like a filler, but it had a big reason why it was there. It's like it was personal for Craig, which we're gonna get into now.
Well, the thing is, in first season, Captain Irving was in nearly every episode of the season.
Well, that's to establish their relationship with Ichabod and Abby. So that was more of
a... They need to establish a relationship with Ichabod and Abby and Reyes.
Well, not... Again, this is like... You have to pretty much time it well. You don't want to just use her all the time. You got to time it very well.
But it's just... I mean, she did start out as a bit of a hard ass and a bit of a bitch, but to be honest, she grew on me, and I want to see more of her.
So do I. I love all the supporting characters in this show.
Yeah, Reyes, I'm very interested to see where Reyes' character is going to go. And I hope to see her in next week's episode, although at this point I think it might be wishful thinking.
Hey, you never know.
All right, you know what? I'm going to let that one pass because that actually fits for the.
Oh, Isaiah logic.
Isaiah logic had nothing to do with it.
Yes, it did. You agree with it. That is Isaiah logic. You agree with
That
it.
Isaiah logic. That is basic logic.
Which is Isaiah logic right there.
Oh, you know what? No, moving on. Moving on.
Okay, so let me get to this part for you. Oh my god. Okay, Crane was trying to apologize to her. Like, I'm sorry there was like the missed messages from me. And it was actually kind of sweet of him. He actually did like a nice German way that he apologized to his new friend. And I actually think that was really, really cool.
Yes.
Until we saw the monster of the week. And that was like, wow, really, writers? I like this character, now you kill her off? It was like really weird.
Well, on that subject, early on in the episode, when the weeping lady first showed herself, I actually had a bit of a concern for the future of the show,
How so?
leading me to believe that I began to think that maybe the weeping lady was not even remotely connected to the Moloch story arc. It turned out not to be the case, but at the beginning of the episode, I'm like, wait a minute, are they going to be doing something where they're just going to be giving a random monster that's not even connected to the whole hordes of purgatory?
Well, again, the monster wasn't random in a way. Because
at the beginning of the episode, when she went after Caroline, we didn't know that at the time.
Right, but to me, I knew there was some big plan behind it. And actually, it's not Moloch's plan, it was actually Henry's plan.
Well, yeah, and we'll find out later how Moloch reacted to that plan.
He wasn't too happy, but we actually saw the full figure of Moloch, and he was still scary. Like this dude was still
the thing
scary.
I noticed that too is that in season 1, Moloch was the physical form of Moloch was far more distorted in season 1. You could barely make out what he looked like.
Right.
But in this season, it's still somewhat distorted, but we can still see him. And speaking of that, I do have a little bit of speculation as to why that is. And we will get to that at the end.
Right. So the Weeping Willow was kind of unique too. I really like how they use these
You just call her the Weeping Willow?
I don't care, Weeping Lady, Weeping Willow. I don't give a fuck. Anyways, a Weeping Lady. I like how they designed her and pretty much her how she killed people. It was really scary to me. Like, I like drowning in water myself because that's like it's hard to see in the water below. You have there's no ground.
Well, drowning in water is people have always said that like drowning in water is one of the worst ways to go.
Yes, and how she does it was like it was really unique and actually like how in the world did she drown her and then over here and then you actually like oh wow she teleports them. So that was really cool, and I love how that was. And this is gonna be like a really crazy thing to say. Like this scene reminds me of Courage the Cowardly Dog, when he was facing a sea monster who was like enchanting Eustace, Muriel's husband, the bald evil guy, and she teleports him to a different world, her underworld, her castle, where she's going to eat him. So it's actually reminded me of a Courage the Cowardly Dog episode, but at the same time, I enjoyed this character a lot more because there was so much backstory already written within this character. Charles?
Well, yeah. With the Weeping Lady, when Henry was looking for a sin to use against his mother, he found that journal. What was it, Gulliver's Travels?
Yes, it was a personal journal.
Yeah, and found Katrina's signature.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when we start to suspect certain things. And then, of course, we find out about Ichabod's original betrothed. Remember, Katrina was originally betrothed to Abraham. So who was betrothed to Ichabod?
Ooh.
A very possessive and stalker-ish woman named Mary.
Well, to be fair, she didn't mean to hurt anybody. She just means well. She didn't love Ichabod Crane. So it wasn't really her fault. She was crazy.
Arranged marriage, man. I mean, I've always had problems with arranged marriages, but
yeah, but she knew Ichabod since they were kids. So it just seems more reasonable why she felt the same way as Ichabod, unlike Ichabod did for her. He thought of her as a sister, which makes perfect sense as well. But again, I didn't really hate her. It was a little bit interesting that
it's just at first. When she first showed up, yeah, I thought she was irritating as hell. Because, I mean, just in any kind of story where they have characters like Mary, where they're possessive and they're stalker-ish, it doesn't really bother me. It just kind of irritates me a little bit. It doesn't give me much of a creep vibe, more of an annoyance vibe. And But the more we learn about Mary, especially later on in the episode with that whole confrontation between Mary and Katrina, we really begin to actually feel sorry for that character.
We do. It's like, wow.
We have sympathy for what happened to her.
Yeah, I love how the writing is actually kind of making us feel sorry for her. That was really good for the writers. Like, they made us feel sorry for a monster that we never felt sorry for, which is really cool.
Yes, and it was very good, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, maybe they might do, like, an alternate reality episode which shows, like, what would have happened if Ichabod and Mary got together and actually did marry.
Right, and they actually...
Ichabod marries Mary.
Right, that would be interesting, though. That would be super, super interesting. Yeah. Also, would it change what happened in, like, the whole, because his old ex-girlfriend wanted him to recant what he said towards his father and join the British again. But he didn't really believe what the British were doing. He still loved being British, but he didn't really believe what their ideas was. So that's what she couldn't understand of their ideas, because she's just naive of all means. She's like a naive child, which is fine by all means, because she is a child.
Well, it's just in that time. People who live in privilege, who live privileged lives, which probably is what Mary lived most of her life, they don't really actually become adults sometimes. Not really.
They're spoiled.
Yeah, they become spoiled. Now, of course, people who lived in like less than favorable conditions, like the common folk, they had to learn to grow. They had to learn to become adults very early.
Right.
Like around, I think it was around like early to mid-teens, I think is when that had to happen.
Right. And the thing about that is like Ichabod's not part of. He knows how it is to be in the poor side, because his father treated him very poorly growing up.
Well, I think what we learned about it in that moment in purgatory when he saw that manifestation of his father. His father was a prestigious professor at a college. I would assume it was Oxford.
It was.
And he hated Ichabod for siding with the colonists.
Yes, and also we should make this clear. His father did not really care for the British or this whole American thing. He just wanted his son to be just like him. That's what the whole father thing was like back in those times. Like if my son follows in my footsteps, then my family tree can go on. But Ichabod did not go that right, and pretty much that's why he hates his own son.
Because they back in that time, they didn't believe in teaching their children to choose their own path.
Correct. And now we get off of Ichabod's time story, because people don't think that it's his fault. And come to find out, we're going to learn more about whose fault really was. And Charles does believe in my speculations now. Isn't that right, Charles?
I do, actually. Yes. If those of you who may have watched our Dynamic Duo reviews videos where we talked about Season 1 of Sleepy Hollow, Isaiah had brought up the speculation saying that Katrina would be captured by the enemy and would be turned into the third horseman.
Yep.
After the events of this episode, I believe Isaiah may be right.
Oh, Isaiah logic, motherfuckers!
God damn it. I'm going to have to mute you every time you say that.
Oh, relax. You know it's funny.
And I don't want to mute you because this is a two-person panel, and if I mute you, I'm going to be talking to myself.
That's nothing new.
Yeah. But anywho, it's just for those of you that have watched the episode, of course you wouldn't if you didn't watch the episode, you wouldn't be watching this hangout. Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, but at the beginning of the season, you remember seeing Ichabod having a dream, a nightmare of Katrina being strung up to this altar. And
a binding spell.
A binding spell, yes. And I think that might be the first stage of the ritual to be able to turn her into a horseman.
Right, but I think they want to do it willingly than forcing her.
Well, no, they wanted to force her, but actually Henry and Moloch wanted to force. Well, I don't know if Moloch wanted to, but I know Henry wanted to force her. But
right.
Abraham was going to go along with it, but then Katrina said, how about this? You could force me to do this, or how about you give me time to choose this on my own? And then,
Right, which is kind of cool.
And then Abraham was like, he didn't really say anything. He just looked at her and nodded his head, and then he walked away.
Yeah. And also, Abraham was actually one of the awesome characters to watch in here, because he was very sympathetic.
To be honest, ever since they gave the Headless Horseman back his head, figuratively speaking,
in a sense,
yeah, he has gotten to become a much stronger character.
Most definitely.
As if he wasn't strong already.
Right. He's like OP already. But now we got an interesting character behind the Headless Horseman. It's like,
exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So he's not a mindless killer. He's a smart. It's just he follows his own rules sometimes. Sometimes.
Yes, and I don't know, just okay.
Also, he said this. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but he said it's one thing that I like the most, and what his lines like. I don't like it when you're unhappy. I like it when you're happy. So I was like, wow, that is really, really cool. And it means he does care for Katrina. He really does.
And there is one thing that we forgot to mention is that, and it's not Harley, it's Holly. It's Hawley.
Oh, douchebag. I always call him douchebag.
Well, he wasn't that bad in this episode.
He was useless again. It was like, okay, this might work and this might blow up in your face. Well, pretty much, it's pretty much useless.
I'm talking about him saving Abby's life.
Okay, he was there, which I gotta talk to you about that. Every time he's there, it just feels like it doesn't make enough sense. Like, dude, why are you even here? And it's just like he's there at the right moments out of nowhere. Does it make you think a little bit more? Like he's getting information from another source, which you already know who the source is. Like, oh, be at this spot at this time. Oh, be this helpful to these people. Because remember, in the past 2 episodes, he was not that helpful. But now he's becoming very helpful for some strange reason.
I think it might be the showrunner's attempt in order to make him more useful to actually show his base of operations with all the artifacts he has. And he's probably going to be the go-to guy for supernatural weapons to use against the supernatural enemies.
Which is going to be so awesome, because he was really cool.
It is going to be awesome. And there is one thing. When Abby was taken by the Weeping Lady and Ichabod tried to rescue her, and he managed to pull her out of the puddle, he was like, oh, God, I mean, she's drowning and all that. And then, of course, Polly shows up and says, come on, man, give her mouth to mouth. And pushes Ichabod out of the way. And I'm like, yeah, that's right, because back during the time of the colonial times, CPR didn't exist.
Exactly.
Yes.
But again, that was really cool moments. And did you ever felt like you was a little bit scared of that scene, because how the Weeping Lady just transport people to the dark deepness of the water or river? It's like you can't really see anything, so it was really scary.
To be honest, I knew because of my experience with how these situations play out, I knew Abby was going to be okay. It would have been shocking if she had died, but she didn't, because I knew she was going to be okay. That scene was predictable, but the only thing in that scene that I really loved, I mean, I liked the part overall, but the one part that I loved the most about that was when Holly pushed Ichabod out of the way and said, come on, man, give her mouth to mouth. And I thought that was awesome.
Right, true. And then we see more great scenes. And also, I think there was an interesting ploy as well. When she first found out that the Weeping Lady was one of Ichabod Crane's ex-lovers, and she was attacking the woman who might take away Ichabod Crane from her, she tries to case Katrina. And we get this badass magic fight.
Well, it wasn't a magic fight.
But you know, yes, it was.
Are you talking about when the Weeping Lady took Katrina into the water?
Yes.
Oh, you're talking about that. Okay, yes. There was a magic fight, which, by the way, when Katrina controlled the seaweed in that part, and wrapped around, I gotta say, I couldn't tell if that was real or if it was CGI.
I couldn't tell her, but that was so badass.
I could not tell. And is awesome for a TV show, because most of the time, here's a good example, Blacklist.
Yes.
The CGI is very noticeable and almost terrible.
It makes the 90s CGIs look good.
I don't know if I would go that bad.
Really?
Because back in the early 90s is when CGI was really starting to hit. It was really starting to become more and more.
It makes Reboot looks real. That's what I'm trying to say. It makes Reboot, the show that's all animated, makes it look real due to Blacklist, awful explosions, awful CGI.
Reboot. I mean, I'm sorry, folks, for going off track here, but I gotta say this. Reboot was an awesome cartoon show, but I agree, it was probably one of the worst CGI I have ever seen.
Yeah,
But it was still good. It was still
For its time. Hi, everybody.
Yes,
Quick
Tom.
Hi. Reboot was actually pretty damn good for its time. We first saw that back then,
it was amazing.
it was a marvel. And
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, they did an Evil Dead episode too, didn't they?
Oh yes, and then after that, they did a Beast Wars show as well, which was very cool.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough going off track.
So,
So, yeah, 'cause
Let me get back to my fluffy slippers.
Yes.
But and now we're getting to the end of the show, folks. Where they faced a whipping lady. It was very cool too.
Which,
Because,
by the way, when we see Holly's base of operations and he gives him the crossbow on the house because he wants to test it to see if it'll work, when they go to try to save Katrina and then the Weeping Lady starts chasing them, Ichabod points the crossbow at the Weeping Lady, and he tries to plead with Mary first, saying like, I don't want to shoot this, I don't want to hurt you. And the Weeping Lady doesn't say anything. She raises the gown over her face, and you get to see her. She's all wet, veiny.
cool effects. Cool.
It was very cool effects. And then she tried to charge at him, and he shot the crossbow in the chest. And she looks up like,
That's it.
yeah,
That's
that's because it caught on fire in a green flame, and then poof.
like, oh, well, thank you for nothing, douchebag. It's like, this didn't work.
Yeah, and then of course she just charged at him, and then
She didn't hurt him. That's the point. She didn't hurt him whatsoever.
no, she charged through him.
Right. He was all wet because, again, she's from the river and water like that.
Yes. And I don't remember what happens after she passes through Ichabod.
She tries to find Katrina and Abby, but she stops in her tracks due to the spell incantations that
That's right. The spell that Abby Mills actually experienced her first stint in witchcraft.
It was awesome too.
It was very awesome, and Katrina and Abby recited the enchantment, and it pretty much purified her spirit. And and of course Ichabod, she fell over, and Ichabod was holding her in her arms, and he said, "Who did this to you? How did you end up like this?" And she looked to the Katrina and pointed, and then she just disappeared. And then that's when the bombshell happened.
Yeah, like, oh man, it was just so crazy. The big reveal, like, what happened to you? What made you turn to this? Like, they point to Katrina, like, okay. So Katrina, what'd you do there? Oh, nothing. I did nothing. Wink, wink, nothing.
Yeah.
But she was actually basically lying to him in his face.
No,
like,
she explained what happened.
Oh.
That whole argument between Mary and Katrina in the flashback, that happened. She was explaining that, saying that that she had received a letter from Mary wanting to meet with Katrina over by that cliff, and she started screaming at Katrina, saying like, "Hey, I mean, you're trying to steal him away from me." And then Katrina said, "No, I'm already betrothed to somebody else, a man named Abraham." And then Mary screamed, "Lies!" And then she tried to charge after Katrina, tried to kill her or push her over the edge. Katrina got out of the way, and Mary fell over, must have hit her head on something, and she died.
Yeah, but here's the thing behind it. Like, again, Mary's like a twig. She can break easily, and then Katrina can handle her herself. But the problem behind it was that she could use her spell. She could use anything to stop her from charging at her from the get-go. But no.
Yes. All right, but okay. So
one more thing.
Okay.
I just finished that part. Do you guys think she was lying about how that happened? Like that flashback was a lie?
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if it was the truth. I don't know if it was the truth, but I don't know if it was a lie either.
Well, it's a lie to me because she lied about pretty much everything. Working with Washington, she's a witch. She had a child, and now she killed one of his ex-lovers. And then she wrote that false letter to him that said she went to London and all that other stuff. Like, yeah, you're a good liar. So believing you actually, huh?
No, yeah. But anywho, all right. So after that, I think is when we go back to Holly at his base of operations, and we see Jenny Mills.
Yay.
And then, of course, there goes my wild speculation a couple of episodes ago, where I suspected that Abby and Holly got into a relationship. It's actually Jenny and Holly rekindle their relationship.
Well, because they know each other well, it's like, and let's be honest, she's really hot. So I say like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, Jenny Mills is actually hotter than Abby. No offense
Well,
to the.
they're both hot to me, so I really don't care. It's like, hey, you stole my drink. No, I'm talking about you, not the coffee. Can you come back, please? Please, no. Ah,
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah. But okay, then beyond that, the funeral.
Yes,
The
that was
funeral
a
with
beautiful
for
funeral.
Caroline. Yeah.
It was actually kind of touching too.
It was touching. Yeah. I thought it was really cool. Yeah. But I don't really know if there's much else to say about it other than it was touching.
Oh, after that funeral ended, Ichabod started to pretty much question his own wife even more and more about marriage is difficult, which is true. But this is where he's gonna be on the same set as Abby. Like, yeah, I'm questioning my wife now because she lied about everything to me. I mean, literally everything. So, yeah.
One thing that we forgot to touch on was Henry meeting with Mullock.
Oh god, that was scary. Again, I don't like get so scared in this damn show.
Well, the thing is that the show doesn't scare me. It doesn't scare me at all.
I think it's because it's scary because of the villains. The villains are scary as hell.
The villains look badass.
Yeah, actually, in this again, you said we see a destroyed image of Moloch, but we actually see him in person, like a very tall and cape-like figure, and he's really, really big. Like, damn, you're tall as hell.
With the giant horns.
Right, like, okay, are you the devil or are you just?
And for some apparent reason, he's also talking in Greek.
But however, that's like a dead language to him. Like it's like Pig Latin sometimes.
It is not Pig Latin.
Yes, it is. Be quiet. Anyways, folks, it can be Pig Latin because that's how it was. Okay, and you shut up, Charles. Thank you. Anyways, Greek is an older language too.
People still speak Greek.
Bingo. You see,
it's not a dead language.
It can be. It can be. Pig Latin. Bada bing, bada boom. Anyways, folks.
I got no response to that because I am dumbfounded by that glorious idiocy.
He knows it's true. That's why he believes in Isaiah logic.
Oh my God. But all right, since we got all that covered, time to go into wild speculation territory. And
you got one, Charles?
I got the one that involves Katrina.
Shoot, go for it.
Yes. Okay. My wild speculation is that that you were right, that they're going to turn her into the third horseman. But at this point, I don't know what horseman. I know one of them was called Conquest, but I don't remember the name of the other one.
Pestilence.
Pestilence. Oh no, Conquest was supposed to be Pestilence.
Oh, Famine. Sorry, Famine.
Yeah. But I don't know what she's going to become. To be honest, since she's a witch, I think she might become Pestilence.
Maybe so, and that'd be really cool too.
Yeah, but that's besides the point. My speculation is what's going to happen in season 3. I think at the end of season 2, they're going to succeed in turning her into a horseman, and the last thing that Ichabod sees of his wife is looking right at him with those dead white eyes, becoming a full-blown horseman. And I think during the entirety of season 3, Abby, Jenny, Ichabod, Irving, everybody involved is going to do everything they can to get Katrina back.
But you can't get her back like that.
They're going to spend the entire season trying to discover a way to be able to cure her of being a horseman.
But
and if they find a way to be able to turn her away from being a horseman, they're going to do the same thing to Abraham and Henry.
But that's one of the difficult, much harder part to do because that spell that Henry and Abraham is on is just the darkest, the most purest, blackest magic of all time, which Trin has used, but she's not stronger than Moloch by any stretch of the imagination. Because if you're going to break that curse, the sad thing is you kind of have to kill that person.
Well, I mean, it does make, logically speaking, story-wise telling, I think it would be more likely that if they were going to cure them of being a horseman, it would probably kill the host.
I mean,
it probably would. Yeah, I'm hoping that it doesn't. I'm hoping that it doesn't kill the host. But with my understanding of how certain plots go, it seems more likely that they will. It will probably kill them, because I think it would be good for. It would be a great conflict for Ichabod if Katrina died. I think it would be a great conflict for him. Because he would be like, he would do everything he could to save Katrina, and then at the end, he dies. And he
dies. You didn't say she, not he.
I said she. And,
you said he.
I said she. Shut up. But I spent he would spend like months just grieving the death of his wife, and then when they finally get a lead to go up against either Henry, Abraham, or even Moloch, you see Ichabod look up. And you see this look of determination and rage in his face, and he's gonna want to go straight at the enemies with tooth and claw to rip them apart. And I think that would be very good for his character. I think that would be good for his character development, even though I really, 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 really hope that Katrina does not die.
Well, again, it's gonna be really interesting. If she does die, it's not gonna be a bad thing because. If her spirit does become more useful than her physical appearance, that'd be more interesting. You have someone who actually knows living and death, so it'd be really cool. And my speculation would be things will keep getting worse and worse for our heroes. Knowing the fact they win every battle, they're gonna lose the war at the end of season 2, and in season 3, the full-on war is gonna start. It's gonna be one badass war too. And the last horseman, we don't know who it's gonna be. It's gonna be much worse than him. It's gonna be much worse than the war. Death and famine itself, so we don't know.
Yeah, Isaiah. That was great speculation. However, I gotta say, Todd was supposed to be second, not you.
Too bad. I'm the black guy. He's not gonna get the back of the seat. He is, not me. Back of the seat.
Well, you did your speculation, so now it's Todd's turn. So shut up.
Don't make me directly related to Charles. I would completely agree with everything Charles just said. If I still believed my speculation when I first, did this hangout with you guys, which was that exactly what you said, Katrina is going to become a horseman. Now, I don't think she is going to be. I think she's going to, her witch side, she's going to be revealed to be a lot more evil and malicious, and become a strong adversary for Ichabod and the gang for a while, and then she's going to join forces with them because of their common bonds. Even though, they're going to be enemies for a while, she'll join forces with them, or they'll join forces with her because she has what they need to stop.
Well, what made me think that Katrina will become a horseman is when Henry talks to Moloch. Moloch mentions that the witch is something called a hellfire shard.
Ooh, yes.
And I'm going to say it right now. What the living hell is a hellfire shard?
It's a long story.
Well, we're going to find out in the coming episodes. Hopefully an episode that has Captain Reyes.
Maybe that's what she's got that can take them down.
Maybe she does. Right.
Who knows? We'll find out in the coming episodes.
You never know, folks.
So I assume everybody has tossed in their spot speculation?
Yep.
Okay, well, thanks. Well, everybody out there in the interwebs world, this has been Geeks of the Round Hangout discussion of Sleepy Hollow Season 2, Episode 5, called The Weeping Lady. Thanks for watching. Also, before we officially go, Isaiah, do you have anything to pimp out?
Yes, I do, folks. It's called the Isaiah Zone, motherfuckers. You can check it out. Go to my and Charles' webpage, which is called Isaiah Zone. Yes, it's Isaiah Zone, but it's not about me. It's about you, folks. You create your world in the Isaiah Zone.
Okay, that actually kind of sounded a little bit dirty.
I know, that's the point.
I thought you did a wonderful
job. Do you have
job.
anything to pimp?
Me? Pimp?
Yes.
No.
Okay, well that's amazingly.
I mean, there's plenty to pimp, but that's a whole other show.
Yes. Well, anywho, since that's out of the way, this has been Geeks of the Round Hangout discussion of Sleepy Hollow Season 2. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.